Hello and welcome back to A Boring Revolution, your number one news source for everything in regards to the Boring Company. Yesterday we listened, or hopefully you listened, to the Q4 earnings report by Tesla. Very, very interesting report. A lot of things said in there that I didn't quite expect. One of the most profound things that was said was basically traffic. Traffic is going to be a big problem in the future. Huge problem. And Elon Musk dropped in the Boring Company. Had to talk about it today. Couldn't delay this. I thought to myself, this is a good indication of the direction in which the Boring Company will go. Because he's kind of giving you, or giving us, a little bit of an indication about what he thinks will happen in the future with how the Boring Company tunnels are used. And I'll give you a hint. It's not going to look like the system in Las Vegas. There will not be stations, or there will be very minimal stations. We're talking about a system that integrates tunnels and surface roads, like I predicted almost 3 years ago. It made a lot of sense to me then. It makes a lot of sense to me now. So, let's listen to what Elon Musk had to say, and then I will summarize why this is a really, really bullish move for the Boring Company and its future prospects. Okay.
Because it is such a profound step change. Effectively, long-term, every car will have FSD, and the value of that will be a very big number. It's like, you just look at this as asset utilization, and you have a passenger car, which normally is driven maybe 1.5 hours a day on average, maybe 10 hours, 12 hours a week. A lot of cars in parking lots. So we're spending money not just driving the cars, but storing them all over the place. We can get rid of a lot of parking lots if you have a car that is operating all the time. There will be a challenge with traffic. We've got like this little tiny baby company, the Boring Company, which I initially started as a joke, and now, but now I think it actually could be quite essential to alleviating the insane traffic that will happen when cars are autonomous, because you reduce the pain of travel, and you reduce the cost of travel so dramatically that there will be a crazy number of cars on the road. I think it will be cheaper to go point to point with a robo-taxi, which is an autonomous Tesla, which every car we've made in the past 3 or 4 years will be capable of that, than a bus or a subway. It'll cost less than the subsidized value of a bus ticket. So people are not going to take the bus. If it costs you, I don't know, for argument's sake, $2 to travel 10 miles point to point, nobody's taking the bus, especially in cold weather, or it's dark, or maybe a little bit dangerous, or hell with that, door to door. People just do not understand how profound a change this is. It's not like some little feature. It's like the most profound software upgrade maybe in history. Millions of cars suddenly have 4 or 5 times the utility than they used to have overnight. I don't actually know how to quantify that financially, except that it's some big number.
So it's all very, very interesting. This feeds into a prediction that I made almost 3 years ago, where I said the robo-taxi network would essentially be so popular, so easy to use, so abundant that it would overwhelm the roads. And the only decent alternative to that would be to kind of divert certain vehicles around bottlenecks using tunnels. Because ultimately what's causing traffic is either excessive demand or bottlenecks in the system, such as traffic lights, roundabouts, very busy motorway junctions, these kinds of things. And when you have millions and millions of robo-taxis on the network and they're being used 6, 7, maybe even 8 hours per day, it generates a lot of traffic. And it's so cheap to run these vehicles. Electricity, it could cost as little as 15 cents per kilowatt hour in the future when you add in inflation, and then maintenance for a vehicle is going to be less than maybe 2 to 3 pence per kind of hour, maybe slightly more than that, 3 or 4 pence per hour. It's minimal, very, very minimal, and people are willing to pay that. So Elon Musk gave the example of kind of $2 for a 10-mile one-way trip. That is peanuts. You can't even buy a burger for that. A decent sized burger at some fast food chains for that kind of amount of money. That's not even the meal. So what we have here is an extremely bullish sign for the Boring Company. The Boring Company does not need to build all these other additional things that I've talked about, stations and switchbacks and various other things and lifts. All it needs is tunnels and ramps and lots of them, and many levels of tunnels, and you can divert vehicles around bottlenecks in the system. You can avoid potentially accidents, or then again accidents might disappear as well. You'd think that would help with congestion as well, but these are extremely bullish things, extremely bullish for the Boring Company. The Boring Company, what it is doing at the moment is it's essentially an apprentice learning the trade. It's learning about tunneling, it's learning about how to get planning approval, it's learning about the kind of engineering principles and kind of construction management techniques that are needed to build projects on this scale. And they're building a team there. They're building a good team. Steve Davis is doing a great job at building up that team. So I think in kind of the next 2 to 3 years, they're going to take those learnings and then apply them to more of a toll road network. Now, it's going to be underground toll roads. There's going to be multiple levels. Initially, maybe there might just be one level, but that will be a very, very profitable opportunity for the Boring Company, because if all the surface roads are full and everyone is averaging 15 miles per hour, and then you can put people underground and they're averaging 40-45 miles per hour, that is a considerable improvement on their journey time. And people value their time, especially if you have a young family. You want to be at home with your son or daughter. You want to be there with your wife, your girlfriend, or your partner, or even your kind of other family members. You don't want to be sat in traffic for 30-40 minutes. Now, some people won't mind that. Some people will sit there in the robo-taxi, they'll put on Netflix, they'll just chill out for 40-45 minutes. That's absolutely fine. That's probably what I would do. But some people value time and they're willing to pay a little bit more. So if you're charging vehicles 15 cents, maybe 20 cents per mile to use the Boring Company tunnel network, no stations required. Remember, stations are a good 30-40% of the cost of the entire system. If you can get rid of those and just replace them with ramps, and you just have ramps every sort of mile or so, maybe every 0.8 miles, you can just go around these bottlenecks in the system. You can avoid those busy junctions and busy roads, and you can just get home nice and quickly, and it's not going to cost that much. Another thing that you mentioned is that who's going to use buses? Who's going to catch a train when not only is it slower, but it costs you more? Why would you do that? Because it's a point-to-point travel system. Yeah, you're not going to have to stop every 1.5 miles. If you're traveling 7 miles, you don't want to stop 3 or 4 times on the way. You want to go straight home. frankly, you don't really care if other people need to get off the train. You just want to get home. You don't want to have to wait at various train stations in various other places. You just want to take the most direct, most efficient, quickest route. And that is how you do it with robo-taxis, because they're just going from point A to point B. Now, that doesn't mean that other people couldn't share that vehicle with you. I have talked about this in the past. There certainly would be an advantage to sharing your vehicle with maybe, one or two other people. You only have to pay, a third as much. And maybe it won't drop you off directly at your house. Maybe it'll drop you off, within sort of 500 meters of your house. Well, most people don't mind walking the last kind of little while to the home, as long as the weather's decent. So again, you could do that where you share vehicles with other people, but a lot of people would prefer just to use a vehicle on their own. This then opens up the potential for maybe, as Tesla talking about building this compact car, does that compact car need to have 4 seats? That's a big question. I don't think it does. I think they could build a compact car with just 2 seats. It doesn't need much storage in it. If any storage, you could probably get away with storage. Just a very, very small, lightweight vehicle, 2 seats, maybe a top speed of about 90 miles per hour, small battery, maybe under 40 kilowatt hours, and it just, whips people around everywhere. Point A to point B, it usually has 1 passenger in it. Super efficient. Now, these are all questions that the Tesla and Elon Musk are going to have to answer themselves over the next 2 to 3 years. I think there's definitely a good business case for building out miles and miles, hundreds of miles of tunnels, essentially underground toll roads. There's also a good business case for building a very small vehicle that's a lot smaller than the Model 3 or the Model Y, because the way Elon's talking about it indicates that maybe he expects that most journeys will only involve 1 people, and that vehicle will be making, maybe 5, 6, maybe even 7 journeys per hour, and it'll be doing that for 8, 9 hours a day. That is super efficient. That vehicle is making you money. And it doesn't matter if that vehicle, this is another key point that I want to kind of labour. It doesn't matter if that vehicle costs $50,000. Because if that vehicle is earning you $35,000 of pure profit every single year, and that vehicle is running around for over 10 years, easily 10 years, maybe 12 years, that's a mountain of profit. That's 700,000, maybe getting on to 800,000 worth of profit just in your back pocket from owning a vehicle, and all you do is press a button and it goes out there and earns you money for 8-9 hours a day. That's crazy. And then when you put it in the Boring Company tunnel system, you can pass on those toll costs to the consumer. They can have 70-80% of those costs. And then you can do more journeys per hour because you can get places quicker using the Boring Company tunnel network. It's all starting to add up now. I don't know if you can see it as well. I certainly can see it. No stations, no elevators, just a tunnel for everyday, vehicles to use. And it doesn't need to necessarily be Tesla vehicles either that use Boring Company systems. It could be Zoox, it could be Waymo, it could be Cruise. It could be anyone. If the tunnel's there, why not let them use it? They can pay maybe a slightly higher rate. Maybe they pay 25 cents per mile. Who knows? But this is all very, very bullish. I'm going to do a few more videos on this topic. I think I need to put, into kind of numbers, the business case for how this could play out for the Boring Company, for Tesla. And hopefully this could now result in a lot more of Elon's time going into the Boring Company. I really hope for that, because if he's talking about it and he's this bullish on a conference call, imagine what he's saying, in the back rooms, in the meetings. He'll be even more bullish. Okay, well, I hope you enjoyed that episode. Please consider liking the video, and if you've not already done so, please subscribe to the channel. Hope you have a good one. Remember, guys, don't be boring. I will see you on the next one. Take care now and be safe. Goodbye.
No fear.